Cindy Delgado, and this is my husband.
I'm Gilson Delgado.
And today we're so excited because we are going to be talking about how we were able to enhance our faith through our relationship, and also what made us decide on getting married to the Catholic Church, and which was honestly the best decision that we made.
Yes.
And then aside from that, we also did like a little poll on Instagram, and we told you guys to ask us any questions in regards to our faith or our relationship or just anything in general. And luckily we got a lot of responses. They were very good questions. So if you guys are interested and want to get to know us and how we answer these questions, then go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, awesome. So before we get started with the questions, we do want to give you guys a little background story on how we met.
Right.
And to start off, I mean, we met back in 2014.
In the summer?
In the summer. We were both very young. I was 17. He was 19.
19.
And keep in mind now that I'm about to turn 24. So I'm 23 and he is 26. About to turn 27. So we've been together for a totality of 6 years.
6 years.
We did decide to get married when we were 4 years into our relationship, which is completely okay. And that's why a lot of people were in disbelief and also weren't very supportive just because we were so young. But the good thing out of all of this is that we did have our faith, and that was something that was very important to both of us. At the very beginning though, when I met him, he wasn't 100% Catholic. He was a little bit confused just because when he grew up, he was Catholic, right?
Yes.
And then he moved to Miami. He's from Honduras, and then he moved to Miami, and then he grew up with a different family, which wasn't his, and they would take him to the Christian church. Yes. So he got a little drifted from his upbringings. Then he came to California, and then that's where we met. And the first Christmas we spent together, I took him to church that day, so Christmas Day.
Yeah, you took me to St. Christopher.
St. Christopher's Catholic Church.
For the first time.
For the first time. And I remember he was a little bit confused as to why people were kneeling, why people were taking the Eucharist. Because keep in mind, the last time he had been to a Catholic church was when he was around like 8
or 10.
8 through 10. So
yes.
That had been a while back, and he was already 19 entering a Catholic church again. So this was all new territory for him. So he definitely needed to adapt. He also needed to learn, which that's what we're all doing here, right? We're all learning, we're all adapting, we're growing as people, individuals, and we're trying to become better people. So I feel like definitely him learning a little bit more of the Catholic Church with my family was something that helped us as a couple.
Yes. Yes, it was kind of hard in the beginning for me because, like how she said, I didn't understand that much, and because I took different paths in my life. But I know that the right way was going to the Catholic Church because I am Catholic.
Right. So we are moving to our first question, which it says, what are some ways to strengthen your faith? That's a really good question because we both have a very similar experience.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to tell them?
Oh, yes. I remember I was probably like 21.
Like 21.
I was 21. I went with your dad and your grandpa to a retreat
in San Diego.
In San Diego. We stayed over there probably around like 2 or 3 days.
I think it was like 3 days.
Like 3 days. Guys, I highly recommend it, guys. It's something different. You're gonna learn a lot about your faith, and that's gonna make you more strong and understand those many questions that you have. And I know it's not easy, but for me, it was the best experience that I have, and the best decision that I made in my life so far. And after that retreat, I started seeing like different. I started taking better decisions in my life, and
that strengthened our faith.
Faith, yes.
As a relationship,
True.
and also individually too, because we started doing things that we normally didn't do before. So for me to answer that question, also for me was going to a retreat, and that was the same retreat, but it was like a women's version, because they have for men and they have for women. And we both went to an adult retreat, which was very interesting because it's very different than a youth retreat. And that definitely changed our lives, because we went to a retreat before we decided to get married. So we felt that that's something that we needed, was to grow and to enhance our faith. And we definitely came back like different people. It was something that made us look at the world in a different lens. It made us look at the world differently. It made me appreciate my family. It made me appreciate my relationship with him. A lot of things started happening. I started supporting him. He supported me. And also too, like when we were dating, I told him, hey, I'm the real deal. Like if we're going to be together, I want to be together for a long time. Like I'm not trying to waste my time nor waste his time. So it was something very important for me to be vocal about my beliefs. And he was super supportive, and he was like completely, yes, I support you. I went to school after that. And he was still with me along that way. So it was something very eye-opening for me to see that he was going to be that rock for me, to be there on the good and then in the bad. And definitely the retreat, to answer that question, the retreat helped us both. I do feel like it's very different if only one person goes to a retreat. So it's, if you can get it over with and get it out of the way, it really does help you in your life.
And believe me, it will be worth it, and you will start to see your life in a different way. So I highly recommend it, guys. Please go to the retreat.
And we're going to ask the second question, where it says, what is the hardest part about being married? And then someone also asked, how do you guys deal with arguments? Well, to answer, because I feel like they both go hand in hand, to answer those two questions, how do we deal with the hardest part and how do we deal with it? So I feel like the hardest part would probably be being on the same page, being able to communicate and also understanding what your partner is communicating, because that's very distinct from just communication. You really have to understand what they're saying, because if I tell him something and I'm being vocal about my feelings and about what I want, what I didn't like, and if he doesn't understand me, then it really defeats the purpose of me communicating, if that makes any sense.
Yes. And for me at the beginning, it was really hard because I didn't communicate with you like that well. And after we got married, after we started living together, I started getting better, like how to say things to you, how to communicate.
And understand
you, because for you, the communication is very important. And for me, it was like kind of like, oh.
Because keep in mind, he lived by himself for a long time. Like he didn't live with his mom nor his dad for a long period of time. So he always lived individually. Like it was just himself. He never had to like care for somebody else. So when we did decide, okay, we got married, I was still living with my parents. When we got married, that's the first time I moved in with him, was the day after our wedding, right?
Yes.
So it was all new for me, for both of us. And I feel like that answers one of the questions. It says, what is the hardest part about marriage? The hardest part, I feel like for both, we can both agree, it has been adapting. You have to really like know how to adapt. And like he said, he struggled being communicative with me. So he had to adapt to me being very communicative and also sharing my emotions and sharing my thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
This is all new.
Yeah, because I had to do something that I never done before. And what's that? And believe me, it's not easy in the beginning, but with time and everything, and try to communicate with your partner, that's gonna make the marriage more easier.
Trust, respect, all of that they're key components to a healthy relationship.
Yes.
Whether you're married or not, those are all very, very important. And to answer a third question, someone asked, what are some ways to keep your relationship alive? And then another question they asked, how do you two keep each other strong? And then,
good questions.
Yeah, those are really good questions. I feel like these are also very similar, so I feel like we're gonna answer them together.
Yes.
Something we do to keep our relationship alive and strong would probably be prayer. I feel like praying
together before we go sleep.
Together and for each other.
For each other.
Because that was another question too. Someone asked, do we pray together?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is very important.
Yes, I know we have your own routine. Like you have your school and me at work, and I know it's kind of hard, but we try to pray at night, and that really helped for us. It helped me so far.
Yeah, someone did ask also, and there's a lot of good questions. Someone said, how do we balance work, school, life?
Yes.
And that's another thing, like, despite knowing that we both have different schedules, we both do different things throughout the day, we do try to find time to pray together, because that's the time that we can be in complete silence and be vocal about the things that we want to ask for. And so that's something that we practice at night, because I do know, like, when we wake up, he wakes up earlier than I do, because he works really early, and then I don't wake up until later, so it's a little bit difficult for us to pray together in the morning, but together we do pray at night.
Yes, and while I'm starting my car and go toward the freeway, I start praying in my car, and I'm just saying grateful to God for everything that I have for another day, because I'm breathing, you know. So people don't make it to the night, and I did, you know. So I'm grateful, always grateful.
Yeah. Also, when we have arguments or we're a little bit on the rough side, we pray for each other, because in the moment, you know, you're angry, you're mad, you say things you don't mean. So definitely praying for each other is very important. In some ways where we can keep our relationship alive is also doing things that you know you used to do before. You know, try not to get drifted away from the daily routine. It's very important to keep reminding each other how grateful you are to have one another. Be very honest about the things that you don't like. That way you guys can both improve as a couple. And the way
you feel.
And then we also reserve time for one another. Like, sometimes he'll have a very hectic work like a week at work. And so he always tells me, like, at least I want to have 1 or 2 days to spend with you. And I really, really, really appreciate that, because you also need to have time for your partner.
Yes, definitely.
And something that we like to do, because there's another question, what's our favorite food to eat together? We love Chick-fil-A.
We love Chick-fil-A, and
we bring it home and watch a movie.
Yeah, the fact that she goes to school and I work, so on Fridays I tell my wife, you know what?
Let's eat out.
Don't cook.
Bring takeout to the house.
So definitely we go almost every Friday to Chick-fil-A, and we get some food, and we start watching some movies, and we had a good time, because she's really good cooking. So sometimes she need a break. She need a break from me and from the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that's why we love eating Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, there needs to be a balance with everything. There definitely needs to be a balance, but that's something that we do. Our faith keeps growing because we continue to work on ourselves and to also ask questions if you're confused. Like, if you have doubts, don't just run away and say, oh, I'm going to go to a different, church or a different religion. That's another mistake a lot of people do, is that they don't really get to learn their own faith first. And also remember that these are just a glimpse of a lot of topics that are so interesting. These are just a couple of the questions that we wanted to answer, since these are the ones that you guys asked on IG story. But of course, keep in mind that if you guys ever have any questions, doubts, or anything in general, if you guys want to get feedback on anything, you can always send us a direct message here on this page. Or also, if you're interested, I'm pretty sure we're going to have our usernames in the bottom. Feel free to have a conversation with us. I know there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of questions, but we're here for you. This is a very safe space. It's a community that wants to help you. And if you ever want to get involved, feel free to contact us at any time. We're so excited and so thrilled, and we're honored that we were able to answer these questions for you guys. And I hope you guys all have an amazing weekend. And thank you all so much for watching.
Thank you guys. Please be safe.